queens are coming. They're gonna take our kids and make them gay, or even worse, trans. Except they're not. Get over yourself. Hi sweeties! Welcome back to the channel. This is a series called Queer News where I tell you the most recent LGBTQ plus news so we can be queer and informed together in hopefully an easy and entertaining way, as Mother Rue would say. So before we get started, please subscribe and activate the notifications so you know when I post new videos. Also, please give us a thumbs up because it really helps the channel and because my nails are freaking adorable. Come on, give me a thumbs up. Although I always try to make these videos cheerful and happy, we actually have very upsetting news this week because they're really coming for us in America. There has been a wave of homophobic and transphobic legislation being passed or proposed in the past few months, and especially in this past week. So the most recent thing that happened was the drag queen ban in Tennessee. They are coming for our queens. I have been noticing a wave of hate towards drag queens online in the past few months, and I was kind of wondering if something like this would happen, and it did. So apparently all this started because of drag shows for children or parents taking their kids to regular drag shows or kids doing drag, and the conservatives were mad. Their argument while all this wave of hate was going on before this thing happened in Tennessee, which I'll get to, their argument was that kids were being exposed to shows that weren't age appropriate and were very sexual, which obviously is not nice. However, they started automatically saying, oh, any drag shows or drag performances are not suitable for kids, and if you are performing in drag in front of a child, you're a predator. And that's a huge leap. I believe drag is like any other art form. It can be made for kids or for adults. Like, for example, a book can be appropriate for kids, but then there can be another book that is definitely not appropriate. Same with movies and music. There is music that is especially made for kids that is completely nice and educational, and there is music that is like about sex and full of swear words, and that's obviously not appropriate for kids. So I think it's very unfair to say that all kinds of drag are inappropriate, because drag doesn't necessarily have to be sexual. The way I see it, I think it's a bit of an excuse, and the real reason why they don't want kids to have any access to drag performances is because it's a queer art form. It's pretty much like saying we don't want our kids to see gay couples, we don't want our kids to be taught about equality in school, we don't want our kids to see drag queens or anything queer because we think that's gonna influence them and make them gay. It was the same thing with the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida. Their argument was, oh, you can't really teach kids about LGBTQ plus themes and diversity because it's too sexual, like they're too young for that, it's not appropriate. But it's not about that. It's about teaching that some kids have two dads and some kids have two moms and some kids have a mom and a dad, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be sexual just because it's LGBT. That to me sounds like they think being queer is kind of like perverted and not appropriate. So what about kids who have gay parents? Should they just not be in that environment then because it's not appropriate for kids? Like, what? And calling drag queens who have not done anything inappropriate predators, to me, sounds a lot like that comparison that people used to make many years ago, like comparing gay people to pedophiles, saying, oh, you start saying that it's okay for a man to marry a man, soon you're gonna say it's okay for a pedophile to marry a child. Like, what? Where? What? It's just an effort to cause confusion and to make gay people look scary or like the enemy or creepy preying on children, and that's so not the case. Obviously, in any group of people there will be some bad apples, but that goes for any group of people. If someone with pink hair, for example, does something bad, are you gonna say nobody's allowed to have pink hair now? No, you should just punish that person individually, not a whole group of people that has nothing to do with it. To me, it sounds too much like an excuse to not allow children to have any access to any diversity. So, back to Tennessee. Because of this whole anti-drag thing that was going on, this bill was passed. It was signed by the Republican governor, Bill Lee. Bill signed the bill. And basically, this bill prohibits all public drag queen shows. The bill doesn't actually have the word drag in it, but it changes the definition of adult cabaret to include lots more things, including drag. They refer to it as female or male impersonators. So they basically classed female and male impersonators as adult cabaret, and therefore you're not allowed to do drag publicly because there could be minors in any public spaces. So, for example, drag performances at Pride are not allowed anymore. And not only not allowed, you could be charged with misdemeanor if you're a first-time offender, or if you are caught multiple times, you could even have felony charges for doing drag. You heard it right. You could have felony charges for doing drag in Tennessee. Now, tell me this is not extreme. It's just ridiculous. And it's not right. And the way the bill is worded as well, like classing female or male impersonation as adult performances that are harmful to minors, you might as well say that being exposed to queer culture is harmful to minors. What the hell? And this governor, Bill Lee, he's doing all sorts. He also prohibited gender-affirming treatment for minors, including puberty blockers. And people actually found a picture of him in drag from back in high school, which is kind of funny because according to the law he passed, he would be charged as a criminal because he impersonated a female. And you might think, oh, it's just Tennessee, it doesn't affect me, it's just one state. But it's not just one state. It's part of a wave that is trying to take away our rights, and it doesn't stop there. There are also other states that are considering similar bans, like North Dakota and Kentucky. And you might say, Julia, you're not even American, like what are you talking about? I'm not, but unfortunately everything that happens in the US affects the rest of the world because we seem to all like revolve around America. And when a wave of hate like this starts, it doesn't just stop in America. And there are more things going on at the same time. They're part of the same wave. Like in Florida, there was a proposal for a bill that hasn't been approved yet. Hopefully it's not going to be, but they passed the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was approved. So it's a bill that proposes that parents who allow their kids to have access to gender confirming treatments, you know, treatments for trans kids, that they could lose custody of their kids. And not just that, but that family members who don't agree with the kids being trans could then take custody of the kids. So that trans kid that was in a supportive family could be taken away and even given to another family member who's not supportive and who's gonna bully them into hiding who they are. What the heck? And now, maybe it's a controversial opinion, but I'm not for kids having life-changing surgery when they're minors. But I truly believe that kids should be allowed to dress and be addressed as whatever they identify with, because it could be very damaging to just make a kid pretend they're not trans their whole life. Like, there's a difference between your daughter being a trans girl and you letting her wear girls' clothes and calling her by a girl name and talking to her teachers about it so she's treated as a girl in school. There's a difference between that and sending her off to surgery, obviously. Okay, moving on to the next bit of news. This is not as new, but I thought it was important to mention as well. Jeffree Star attacks again. I have been sort of defending, not defending but still supporting Jeffree Star by buying his products and stuff for a long time, although people have been canceling him for a million reasons many times, because I like that he's a self-made queer person who came from nothing. You know, he was really poor, he was really discriminated, you know, he's a very feminine man, so he suffered so much from homophobia and everything, and he managed to overcome all this and become such a successful businessman, and I really admire that. Plus his makeup is amazing, so I was never one of the people that was like, let's cancel Jeffree Star. However, I do disagree with the things he has been saying. In case you don't know, you probably do because it has been all over the internet, but apparently Jeffree Star did a podcast in which he said that they, them pronouns are bullshit.
I'm not into all the other I think.
What other
The they and them.
Yeah.
And all that extra that we added during the pandemic because everyone was so bored on their houses. They just started to make up more and more
stuff.
Yeah. That's where the conservatives like me because I'm just real.
Yeah, you do have a conservative vibe to you.
You're not they and them. You're trans, you're male or you're female.
And you're standing on that.
Get so mad when I say that.
Now, he obviously got lots of backlash, and then he did a response on his Instagram stories where he basically said that he's not gonna back down, and that's his opinion, and he does think it's stupid, which I think is it's not very nice. But he also said that he's not saying that he doesn't believe non-binary people are real. He just thinks the pronouns are silly. Which, I mean, I guess it's better than just saying I think there are only two genders and I don't think they're real. But I don't know, I think it's just a bit rude.
I just went on and I saw a few outlets saying that I'm transphobic. Jeffree Star, who has 5 transgender employees. I have over 100 employees of all different ethnicities. A brand that is inclusive to the entire world. What we're not gonna do is lie. So if you posted an article saying anything like that, you better delete it, Miss Thing, because I'm coming. All I said was I don't agree with pronouns. That's it.
I think sometimes binary people find it a bit hard to relate to what it must feel like to be non-binary. Like, I have no idea what that feels like, so it's a bit hard to imagine, but that doesn't mean you should just call it stupid just because that's not you and because you don't know what it feels like. I think when someone tells you what they want to be referred as, you should just do it because it's the polite thing to do. And then more recently, he was interviewed by TMZ and he said pretty much the same thing, that he thinks it's stupid, but he wasn't bashing non-binary people. He just doesn't fully understand it.
I'm old school. I've been a guy that has been dressing as a female for a very long time, so I think all the extra theys and thems, I just thought it was a little silly, and people took it the wrong way. Non-binary people exist, I never said that. I just said it was a little stupid. I think that anyone can identify as whatever they want, honestly. But I just think that there's too many labels on this planet.
Okay, the next bit of news is a little more positive. There have been efforts in Japan to make same-sex marriage legal. Yay! It's about time. Japan. Japan is the only country in the G7 that does not accept the gays. So people have been talking about it a lot, and the main opposition party in Japan put in a request to allow same-sex marriage. Now, we don't know if it's going to be approved or not, but I think it's a great start. However, the Prime Minister of Japan is a bit of an idiot. His name, I'm gonna read this because I'm sure I'm gonna butcher his name anyway. Fumio Kishida. I'm probably saying it wrong. He basically said that he doesn't think not allowing gay people to get married is discrimination. He thinks it's just okay. Like, he doesn't think that marriage inequality is discrimination. Like, what? And one of his, like, spokespeople said that he doesn't even want to look at a same-sex couple, but he was fired. And Fumio Kishida, the prime minister, said that doesn't align with his views. So at least that, it doesn't sit right with me. But I have great hopes that this will be approved because apparently there have been polls and everything around Japan, and most of the population is okay with the gays getting married. So this was today's queer news. Please share this video with your friends so they can be queer and informed like us. Thank you so much for watching and have a very, very lovely day. Mwah!